Good morning. Welcome to my thought for the day. We're in Luke chapter 7, verses 11 to 17, which is this beautiful story of the raising of the widow's son, the widow of Nain. There are several recordings of stories when Jesus raised people from the dead. There's Jairus' daughter, and of course Lazarus. But he could have raised, during his ministry of 3.5 years, there must have been thousands, hundreds at least, of people who died during that time. And he didn't raise all of them. I think this is something we have to remember, that Jesus did not just distribute his miraculous abilities to everybody. There is purpose. And unfortunately, or fortunately, none of us are going to get out of this life alive unless Jesus comes back. It's part of the natural way of things that this mortal body dies and we go into the next life and wait for our new resurrection body. So Jesus, but these instances, this instance with the widow of Nain's son, his compassion was aroused because she was, firstly, this was her only son, and she was a widow. And for a woman in those days, it was rare for women to be self-sufficient and able to earn a living and to live independently. It just was the way their society was organised. And women spent their lives either as young people in the household of their father, or as wives in the household of their husband, or if their husband had died, in the household of a near male relative of the husband, or if there was no male relative, it would then became the responsibility of the son to care for her. And her son, her only son, had died. And of course she was weeping, she was distraught. Her future loomed ahead of her. How would she survive? How would she live when she had no one to provide for her? And her son was dead. And Jesus is moved with compassion for her and brings this boy, this young man, this adult young man, back to life. And it's wonderful to know that God fully understands our circumstances. Whatever our circumstances are, he fully understands them. And he wants to be with us in those circumstances and to lift us out of the despair that we find ourselves in. It may not be through raising someone who has died back to life. Those instances are very rare. But God's presence and comfort are ours, because the truth of Easter, which we are fast approaching, next week of course being Holy Week, is that when Jesus died and rose again, he transformed death forever. He defeated death. He changed death. It is no accident that all Christian burials have a cross on the tombstone, either the shape of a cross or a cross etched into the stonework. It's because the cross, the empty cross, testifies to the fact that Jesus' death changed death forever, and that death is not the end for us. It's a testimony, as just as surely as the cross on the back of the donkey is a testimony to the fact that Jesus lived, and Jesus rode in, as we remember on Sunday, into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey. The donkey has the cross on its back as a testimony to the change that the cross is the changing thing, the transformative event of the whole of time. Death has been changed forever. Death is not what it was. And we should not approach death fearfully. It has no power over us anymore. The sting of death is gone. That's what Paul says in Corinthians. O death, where is your sting? O death, where is your victory? But Jesus has overcome even death. And here in this instance in his life, his victory over death is demonstrated in this radical moment when this young man came back to life. But of course, he will have died since, and so will his mother. They will be buried somewhere in Israel and wait for the resurrection, as we all will, or for the coming of Jesus. So we have to think about death. It is coming for all of us. It will come for all of us. But it is the way we think about it needs to be transformed. It is not the tragedy that many people make it out to be. It is but the doorway into eternity, into the presence of the Lord, the nearer presence of the Lord. And we will wait for the resurrection and then live with the Lord forever. It is a wonderful prospect, not a daunting one and fearful one, but a wonderful prospect. But the thought from this story is that Jesus understood fully this woman's situation. He understood that she was a widow. I don't know whether he had a word of knowledge about it or whether he stopped them and they told him. Those who bore the young man told him her situation. I don't know. But he knew everything about her. And his first instinct was to help her. And that is God's desire, always, to help us in whatever circumstance we find ourselves in. We can be absolutely certain that God will help us and support us and carry us through whatever it is that has come into our lives, however unexpected it may be. So that's a very reassuring thought for the day, that God cares for us. You knew that already, didn't you? May you be very blessed today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.